Wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. Indeed it is the Monty Show. Thursday, July the 15th, 2021. How the heck are you? Hope you're well. Hope you're better than Chris Paul's handle. Hope you're better than my gums and inner mouth lining. And frankly, I hope you're better than any HOA administrator in Utah. That about cover it?
I think so. I mean, I think that's that's pretty good.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Good show.
Jake, say goodbye.
Bye, Jake.
Obviously, we're going to open up talking NBA Finals today, but we got to talk about HOAs, landscapers, this DoorDash update. Like, when did it become so difficult to get good service of any kind?
Of any kind.
Of any kind. I mean, it's so frustrating. I had a terrible interaction with my HOA yesterday. My wife left me because of it.
Okay.
So that story's interesting. We'll talk about that. Good morning, Edgar Garcia, first one in. He says, my boys. Good morning to you.
That's a new first one in, I think.
Edgar, I think this is the first time you've been first one in. But without further ado, let's deliver on the product that's expected. We're talking NBA Finals Game 4 this morning. Live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, just search The Monty Show. Open up that old Google machine, google.com. Search The Monty Show, MONTY. The Monty Show will pop up wherever you want to listen or watch. The NBA Finals Game 4 was not good for Chris Paul. In fact, I would say it is a disaster, and I don't think it's too strong, Jake, to say that Game 4 is squarely on the shoulders of Chris Paul, because all the turnovers in this game, a large majority of them are on Chris Paul. And I think the hard part to comprehend here is that the Suns should have won this game. You're up double digits in the second half, and all of a sudden you just start handing the Milwaukee Bucks second chance turnovers. How much blame does Chris Paul get, Jake, for this loss?
Yeah, I think Chris Paul, gets a lot of blame as any star player or leading player would. And I think that, particularly for Chris Paul, being that he is a point guard and being that he's been the guy that's known as not turning the ball over and, being this great playmaker and really dominating the mid-range, when you go from being that guy to turning the ball over and, essentially handing them the game, that you're obviously going to get a lot of heat for that. And I think that, the thing that we're not talking about is what the turnovers lead to outside of the points. So, yes, they're going to lead to points, of course, but, the real issue is that it's momentum swing. So, you have this lead, you commit multiple turnovers, and now all of a sudden, not only have they cut into the lead or taken the lead, they've also got the momentum. So it makes it really difficult for you to come back in the game. It makes it really difficult for you to hold your water, as I like to say, like just to weather the storm and get back to, almost like a level playing field after the momentum swing happens. So I just think that, last night you have a situation where, Devin Booker's having a nice game. He's really, really putting the ball through and really carrying you offensively. And you have Chris Paul just trying to do too much, I felt like, trying to get nifty with the between the legs stuff and throwing these different passes across the paint, which typically are never going to be completed in the NBA. Like, I just don't know, where that came from or why Chris Paul all of a sudden started trying to make those kinds of passes. And the other thing I would say, too, is it's not like this Bucks team is an all-world team. They are talented. Giannis, Chris, Drew Holiday, they've got talent on that side. There's a reason they're here, but it's not like this is the best team the Suns have faced. I mean, I think you can make a pretty good case that the Clippers are better than the Bucks, and yet the Suns seemingly are just making these mistakes. And I don't know if it's postseason fatigue. I don't know if it's, something else. Who knows? But these mistakes have to stop in order for them to win the series.
All right, let's hear from Monty Williams talking about turnovers, and there were many, and it's pretty clear that Monty Williams, the head coach of the Phoenix Suns, knows what he's got to correct.
The turnovers just crushed us tonight. We shot 50% from the field. but they got 19 more possessions. And, over the course of the game, when you just give it up that many times, the turnovers and offensive rebounding was a bit of a hill for us to climb. But you're right, when you have that kind of a lead in the fourth, if we can just hold on to the ball and get good possessions, you feel like you can at least hold it there.
Phoenix Suns head coach Monty Williams, 34 more opportunities based on the number of turnovers and offensive rebounds for the Milwaukee Bucks last night. And I think one of the silver linings in this loss, if there is one, is that you only lost by 6, and you gave them 34 more opportunities to score the basketball than you had, Jake. I would imagine the Phoenix Suns, I think the Phoenix Suns are still going to win the championship. But these kind of numbers, I don't know. Is that about the effort of the Milwaukee Bucks or the shortfalls of the Phoenix Suns?
Well, to me, I mean, I think you have to expect the Bucks to always be giving max effort on defense. I mean, that's sort of like the theme of their team. They're a hardworking team. That's just their mentality as a team to play great defense. So, if you're the Suns, you have to expect that. I mean, you have to understand that they're always going to be coming after you. And so, to me, I tend more to lean towards the side of this is the Suns, not playing to, their true potential, right? Like there's a difference between playing your absolute best game, like that game where, you only turn it over 4, maybe 5 times the whole game. You're making the good pass, the ball movement's there, you're getting high percentage looks, like you're operating on offense. You've got you as the 5 guys on the floor together as a unit, understand what they're trying to do, and they're executing at a high level. It seems like right now at times for the Suns, that's not the case. It seems like multiple times last night, and this isn't really even a criticism, it's just more of an observation. Multiple times last night, all they were doing on offense was just running sets for Book and, letting him take those shots, and he was making them last night. But I think the best Suns basketball product that we've seen this year is not just, hey, give it to Chris or give it to Book and sort of let them, play their individual games. I mean, I think the best Suns product we've seen is, hey, let's get it to these 2 guys, but then let's also look for the corner 3. Let's also look for this or for that inside of the offense, and we're just not seeing a lot of that right now.
Yeah, and it's tough to explain away Chris Paul's failings at this point because this isn't just one game where Chris Paul has struggled to to control the basketball. This has been going on for a pretty good part of this series. So you have to give the Bucks some credit for that. But the thing that is shocking is the last possession of the game, the most important possession of the game, where the Suns need a 3, Chris Paul dribbles up the floor and falls down.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns into a fast break where Chris Middleton gets a layup. And I just don't understand what Chris Paul's mentality was there. You have a guy in Devin Booker that's got 42 points. He has been unstoppable last night, the entire game, and you fall down and turn the ball over. You never even looked at him. He was open. And this goes back to probably your point in what you've been talking about this series, is that Chris Paul has not been a team guy.
Yeah.
Chris Paul at times has been a ball hog, and I think we have seen that the last 2 games in Milwaukee. He just does not move the ball enough.
Yeah, and I think that it really hurts their flow. We kind of were able to write that off because Devin Booker wasn't having in game 1 and game 2 he gave you 25 to 30, but that's pretty standard procedure for him. He wasn't having that big night where as we've heard multiple times, 50 was a possibility. Like you were just saying, he was at 42 points. So last possession of the game, and what I found so silly about this is where on the floor this happened. So Chris Paul brings the ball up, and you're dribbling into the meat of their defense. I mean, you're in an area of the floor where you're surrounded by Bucks defenders. It's not like this happened, at 3/4 court, right? Like, it's not like he just happened to slip and it was just unfortunate. You dribbled into the middle of their defense while your boy over here is wide open. Like, it just
fell
was a
down
silly
at the free
play.
throw line. He fell down at the free throw line.
I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know. I mean, obviously he didn't intentionally fall over, but the whole thought here is that you brought the ball up and you clearly weren't thinking, okay, I got to get this ball to the best scoring option we have right now. Because last night, the other thing too, it's not like Chris Paul was lighting it up. It's not like he was having a big scoring night. So it's hard to justify the turnovers when you don't have the production.
Well, let's hear from one more bite from Monty Williams after the game in the locker room. I thought this was really classic Monty Williams, and this tells you why. I think this is the exact right guy at the exact right time. By the way, I also think this tells you why the Suns are not by far done in this series.
All of this is correct. We're in this situation right now because we put ourselves in this situation. I mean in a good way. We got 3 games to win 2. That's how you got to look at it. You can't have your heads down right now. You got to stay together. That's the deal. What happened tonight is correctable. 17 offensive rebounds they got, 17 turnovers we had. Think about that, guys. We had a 21-point fourth quarter. We're making it hard on ourselves, okay? But we can't have our heads down. It's emotionally tough. But we got to know we put ourselves in this position. We got home court advantage. You got to keep your spirit high. That's the deal. Ever since I've been here, we talked about everything you want is on the other side of hard. This is hard. This is freaking hard. So you got to stick together. That's the deal, all right?
Such a good message. Phoenix Suns head coach Monty Williams right there in the locker room after the game. And I think that's the truth. Nothing that you're going to accomplish in the NBA in the finals is going to be easy. And frankly, I think as we start moving towards Game 5 on Saturday night, I would simply say nothing's really gone out of plan here.
Yeah.
The home teams won every game. The Suns should have won Game 4. I mean, there's no other way to look at this. You turn the ball over. Devin Booker's, basketball IQ was at a rock bottom last night. I mean, I know Devin Booker had a big game, and I know that a lot of people, we joke on this show about that's my dude, and absolutely. Devin Booker's basketball IQ last night was not very high. The way he committed those 5 fouls, the stupidity behind the 6th and 7th fouls that were not called. I mean, you just have to get more intelligent basketball out of this team. It's what's separating these two teams right now, is that the Milwaukee Bucks are not committing stupid turnovers. They're not committing stupid fouls. And they're being far more aggressive than the Phoenix Suns are. That's why the Milwaukee Bucks won Game 4 in Game 5. Because they were, Game 3 and Game 4. Because they were far more aggressive. They're at the line. Defensively, I think you saw this with DeAndre Ayton in Game 3. DeAndre Ayton was just hacking away. Last night he was not, and he limited Giannis Antetokounmpo's touches. And that was a big part of the reason the Suns were in the game. You got typical performances out of guys that you would expect to. I mean, I look at Devin Booker's numbers last night on paper, and everybody's going to say, man, 17 of 28, no three-pointers. He goes 8 of 9 from the line, scores 42 points. What a performance. Well, yeah, he also had 9 fouls last night. He also committed a couple of stupid ticky-tack fouls in the first half that all add up at the end of the game. I think he was passive. I think he was not attacking. He was not attacking Tucker early in the game, so Tucker was able to stay in the game late. Like, it was just the basketball intelligence that we've already talked about with Chris Paul. We're talking about with Devin Booker. Look at the Giannis block last night.
Yeah.
With all due respect, that's a great play.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton needs to lift some weights. Like, the thing you'll notice about that block, it is great reaction by Giannis. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The ball just falls out of DeAndre's hands. And what did we see last night? Exactly what we told you we'd see out of DeAndre Ayton. Drop 2 big passes and then wants to play volleyball and tip the ball up in the air all the time. He is not a guy that you can rely on in traffic to catch the ball on a rebound or a pass.
And on that play, too, what I thought was so interesting is that I felt like, throughout the game, and this is something that I think Book has to work on, there are so many times when if Book would just go to the basket on guys, he would get fouls. Like, if he would just go up, like on that alley-oop attempt, that this great defensive play by Giannis. Like, I'm sitting there looking at that play saying, okay, Book is at the elbow and he's got a decision to make. He understands PJ's with him, but he also understands Giannis is in front of him. So yeah, your odds of making like an and one there are not very high. But when you're on the road and you're in a really tight game, a highly contested game, going to the foul line is one of the best tools you have. It slows the game down. It allows your team to compose themselves, and it's racking up fouls on the other team. So I felt like there was even an opportunity for Book to try to go up and get fouled. So, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying about DeAndre. DeAndre should have absolutely posterized Giannis on that play, and everyone's going to say, well, Giannis got back, and Giannis got a full hand on the ball. And what I'm saying is, look at it was a small play. But the Suns were inbounding it. Giannis was on Ayton. They tried to inbound it to Ayton, and Giannis steals the ball. Why did that happen?
Because Ayton didn't close, and
Ayton didn't
soft.
close, and he is soft. Exactly. So I look at that play, and I say, okay, on the alley-oop, you should have hammered that thing home. It should not have been a clean block. Giannis should have paid the price for trying to make that block, but he didn't because Ayton still is not that tough, like, that tough, gritty big yet. And I think he's progressing, but he has to bring more.
And by the way, the pass wasn't ideal either. DeAndre Ayton was fully extended on that play. But it just goes to show you, like I look at Ayton's line last night, 17 rebounds, 16 of those defensive, 5 dimes, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, 6 points. Mm-hmm. You can't have 6 points out of your second best offensive weapon.
And maybe that's the other bright spot, too. I mean, they lose this game in the end by giving it away. But Chris Paul had whatever he had. He had like 10 points or whatever it was.
10 points, 5 turnovers, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds.
So you're telling me that Chris Paul had 10 points, DeAndre Ayton had 6 points or whatever it was, and you only won the game by, like 5 or 3?
6 points.
6 points? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. I mean, that was not even close to the Suns' best ability last night, and you've only won the game by 6 points.
Well, and I think it also has to be said that if you look at the role players for the Milwaukee Bucks, who did not do much in Phoenix. I mean, Pat Connaughton shooting air balls in Phoenix. Not last night, 11 points on 3 of 7 from 3. Big three-pointers last night.
Yeah.
Are you going to get that on the road? I think you look at a guy like Brook Lopez. Really didn't do much in Phoenix. 14 points last night. Big production from him. You look at the Suns role players were really non-existent last night. Monty only played 8 guys, which you understand. Cam Payne had 9 points, but missed 3 easy layups. Which you just don't understand that.
That right there is a difference in the game.
Torrey Craig only has 4 points last night, 15 minutes, only takes 1 shot and 2 free throws. I look at a guy like Mikal Bridges, 7 points in 26 minutes. I mean, your role players will determine wins and losses most nights. Certainly last night that was the case. I think it also is a conversation about officiating in this game. And this was a big discussion last night on Twitter. Like, this is the worst of the worst when it comes to officiating. It is shocking, the non-calls and the calls. There were critical possessions, like the Booker play where the ball clearly went off of P.J. Tucker's foot. They didn't review it. The ball clearly goes off of Giannis's hands on a critical putback opportunity. They didn't review it. The Booker play where and I know you disagree with me on this, but that foul that they didn't call on Booker at the rim against Holiday, I don't think there was any doubt that was a foul. They didn't call it. He stays in the game. I just look at all of these. Just an incredibly inconsistent game by the officials. They, without question, changed the outcome of this game. I mean, those 3 possessions that they took from the Suns all turned into points for the Bucks. The Devin Booker staying in the game, he hits, 2 mid-range jumpers after that to keep the Suns in it. If they foul him out, this game's never in doubt. I mean, it just is amazing to me that here we are in Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and we're getting an awful performance out of the officials.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're NBA teams, you can't leave it in the hands of the officials. You have to. It really puts the onus on the players to to execute. And that's why I say, like, I don't disagree that the officiating's been incredibly inconsistent. I completely agree on that. I mean, we can disagree about this call or that call, but at the end of the day, you're 100% right that the officiating has not been what I think every NBA fan and really every NBA player would want it to be. But I think the fact is, and I'm going to say this because we said it about the Jazz, and I think it's a fair point still. I mean, the Suns don't have to worry about officiating if they don't turn it over 17 times. You don't have to worry about officiating if you make if you make free throws throughout the game. You don't have to worry about officiating if Campaign would make basic layups. So that's why I say, yes, I agree. Officiating should and could be a lot better, no doubt. But at the same time, that's still not an excuse for the result that was had in this game, because I genuinely believe the Suns gave this one away. I with all due respect to the Bucks, the Suns had this game in control. They didn't really feel like they were out of it till the very end, and you just feel like if they don't turn the ball over as much, and maybe if Chris Paul doesn't fall over inexplicably and turn it over at the end of the game, maybe we're having a different conversation. So I just think that either way, if you're the Phoenix Suns, if there is such a thing as feeling good about a loss or taking wins out of a loss, you can feel good about the fact that Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton didn't really do anything and you only lost by 6. I mean, that's a pretty strong thing.
Yeah, but I think it is also important to note that I don't think there's any doubt the officials called this game to elongate the series. And I've never bought into the Tim Donaghy conspiracy theories. And I like Tim. He's been on this show 1,000 times. I never agreed with him wholeheartedly until last night. I've always had doubts, but I look at the refusal to review that play off of, PJ Tucker, off of Giannis's hand. I mean, the not calling fouls on Giannis in the paint when he is yanking the back of a guy's jersey to get a rebound. In the official, you can see the official in the replay looking right at it, and he doesn't blow the whistle. I mean, he had all of Torrey Craig's jersey, all of it. They're only calling a foul on Giannis because I think it was like 2 or 3 possessions later, he's yanking DeAndre Ayton to the floor. I don't know what more evidence I would need to believe that NBA officials are being leveraged by the league to lengthen this series. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I just am not. I don't believe in Area 51. I don't believe in the grassy knoll. Well, I do believe that there are Russian hookers with Donald Trump, but that's a different story. But I have not believed until now that the NBA was leveraging the officials to lengthen series. I think it's pretty clear. Let's get some of your comments in here. Of course, James Knight disagrees with me. He says, stop, Monty. You can't comment on the officials after your take on Utah bitching and moaning about officials. Well, you don't... How do I say this with tact?
You make it easy, James.
You really do.
You make it very easy, my
friend. Did the Suns sit up on the podium last night and say that the officials were out to get their team and that the officials want them to lose games?
And that they don't want them to win because they're a small market team?
Did the Suns players do that? Does Devin Booker, every time there's a foul call, turn around and complain to the officials? Like Rudy Gobert on every single call? By the way, did Devin Booker or Jay Crowder or Chris Paul get a technical foul when a foul was called in his favor? Did that happen? I don't think that happened last night. I know that happened to Rudy Gobert, who bitched at the officials even after they gave him a call to the point where he got a technical foul. Anyway, why do I even indulge that? Driftwood says, of course Jake is a Marvel fan. Makes complete sense. I can totally see him going night-night in his Spidey PJs, eating his peanut butter burrito, comfy in his Iron Man bed sheets.
Okay. I'm not sure what that has to do anything with what we're talking about.
Jordan Crabtree says Booker is not clutch. Ace says, if you don't believe officials are changing games and you just figured it out now, what league are you watching? Yeah, you're right. I should have gotten on board with this long ago after what I saw last night. Red Heart Norvis says, Monty at halftime said they are outworking us. Yeah. I mean, they did. The Bucks outworked the Suns.
And that's why I say, like, Jazz fans are going to be all pissed off about this conversation, and I guess I get it. But at the end of the day, this is the NBA Finals. You're not playing, some random ass team in the regular season. Like, at the end of the day, I guess I just feel like the league. I guess they don't have an obligation. They have an obligation to make money. I mean, that's what the league. That's what the league's about. So, like I said, I understand it, but I'm still going to say the same thing about the Suns that I said about the Jazz. The officiating has nothing to do with why they lost the game. I still maintain that. I still believe that
nothing to do with
it has nothing to do with it, because we wouldn't be talking about it if you didn't turn the ball over 17 times.
The officials are not why the Suns lost. I would agree with that. They played a huge role in why the Suns were losing this game. If the call off of PJ Tucker's foot is properly officiated, if Devin Booker is fouled out of the game, if they make those calls on Giannis, he is in foul trouble in the second quarter. He should have had 5 fouls in the first half. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's that one play where he straight up knocked over DeAndre Ayton, no call. I mean, just forearms him to the ground, no call. Yep. The play where he drops his shoulder into Chris Paul, no foul.
Yeah.
I mean, to say they had no role in the Suns losing the game, I don't agree with that. Are the officials why the Suns lost this game? No, they're not. The turnovers and the work ethic of the Suns, the basketball IQ of Devin Booker, that's why the Phoenix Suns lost this game. It's not because of the officials. But if those calls were properly officiated, the Suns win this game by probably 8 to 10 points. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt about that. The Suns, and I can sit up here confidently and say the Suns are a better basketball team than the Milwaukee Bucks. Mm-hmm. It just depends on how you call the game. Just depends on where the game is played. Uh-huh. Because at home, I would assume that the Suns would get these calls. I'd be really surprised if they didn't. And I don't agree that somebody said, and I forgive me, Jordan Crabtree said Booker's not clutch. I don't know what more you need out of Devin Booker. Big shot after big shot, left-handed finishing, 8 of 9 from the free throw line. I don't know how you can say the guy's not clutch. If they'd have given him the ball on that last possession instead of Chris Paul dribbling into a triple team and falling down, I think we're probably going overtime.
Yeah. Ask the Clippers if Devin Booker's clutch.
I don't know how you say he's not clutch. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a huge part of the reason they're in the NBA Finals. I don't understand. James Knight says, Monty, are you wearing a Suns jersey under that T-shirt? Anyway. Ace also says the ripping, I'm going to paraphrase because his comment is hidden.
Right.
The ripping of Devin Booker is laughable. The guy had the game of a lifetime. I agree with that.
Yeah, I if you're sitting here this morning talking about the fact that Devin Booker isn't clutch, I just don't know like what you're talking about. I mean, we can talk about we can talk about Game 3 if you want, but the fact is the guy bounced back from one of his worst performances of the postseason and gave you everything you needed. And then on the flip side, Chris Paul gave you everything you didn't need. Turned it over, wasn't making shots, just didn't show up last night, frankly. And then, I look at Ayton and I say Ayton's production is largely dependent on them getting him involved. So I'm not so concerned about the points, but I am concerned about the fact that he didn't finish his alley-oop. I am concerned about the fact that, he didn't catch a couple of those passes. He didn't do the little things, which is for him.
The Suns forgot how to throw the ball into the post.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, he showed you in Game 3 that if you get DeAndre Ayton on Connaughton, he's going to abuse Connaughton. I mean, that's just going to be a bucket every single time.
They were switching Drew Holiday onto DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, and with all due respect to Drew, yes, he is strong for his size, but he's not stopping DeAndre Ayton. That's not happening. And
as far as me ripping Devin Booker, look, I don't think it's ripping. I think it's fair criticism. I don't understand the ticky-tack fouls for a player who throughout these playoffs has found himself with 4 and 5 fouls. Mm-hmm. You can't take the slap Giannis's arm. Oh, I'm going to put my hand up. I fouled him. That's a stupid foul.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's stupid is he finished the layup. It was an and one. How does that make any sense? And the Chris Paul turnovers, throwing the ball over your head blindly, I think he was trying to get it to DeAndre Ayton in the middle of the paint when all the Bucks have done all series long is collapse on the guy that penetrates. You think you're going to be able to throw a blind pass over your head there? Like, it's amazing to me how poorly they played. The only guy on Milwaukee that I think really showed out was Chris Middleton. I mean, I just think the world of Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the Milwaukee Bucks want to force offense through Giannis when you have a guy in Chris Middleton who can create and get his own whenever he wants.
The whole package offensively, man.
Mid-range, three ball, passing, lobbing.
Little handle.
There's nothing to talk about. Like, in my opinion, Chris Middleton's their most important player.
Yeah.
It's not Giannis.
Yeah.
It absolutely is not Giannis. So,
Yeah.
the struggle's real this morning.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll
Little
explain
groggy.
this. Well, man, I'm battling a little, like, frog here, but it's not because I have, like, the Delta variant.
The Delta variant.
I'm going to, this dentist thing yesterday was ridiculous.
The coronavirus.
No. This dentist thing yesterday was ridiculous. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Gabe Ledley, good morning to you. He says, has Monty Williams filed that missing persons report for CP3 yet? If he hasn't, he should.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
Man.
well, everybody wants to say, oh, well, Devin Booker's not clutch. Well, if you're going to say Devin Booker's not clutch, what about Chris Paul? I mean, it's not an exaggeration. I mean, literally, we have SportsCenter on in the background. Game 1, he's got 32 and 9, 63% from the field. And then games 2 through 4, he's 17 points, 8 assists, 48% from the field. Where the hell did you go?
He's shooting 36% from 3, and he's not taken many threes. And in game 1, he shot 57%. On the road, Chris Paul has not been good in this series. I mean,
but the expectation is there. That's the problem. He's a veteran player. And this is the thing. This is important to talk about. Neither of these teams have been here before. So which team is going to be able to handle the moment better? Chris Paul's been in this league for a gazillion years now, and we've heard this Cinderella story. Well, I got news for you. If you're going to turn the damn ball over and you're not going to score, the Cinderella story can just head out the back door because that's not going to come true.
And is this Chris Paul trying too hard because he's in the NBA?
He's definitely doing too much. I mean, that's
I think so.
Like, I think the Suns team as a whole is trying to do too much. Like, these guys have got to get back to just doing their job. Like, you talked about Mikal Bridges not having a great game. I see Mikal Bridges as a guy who his job is to play epic defense and then knock down the three when they get it to him. The problem is they're not getting it to him. I mean, that's a guy who can shoot the three at a pretty high rate. So, coming out of game 3, we heard Monty Williams talk about, hey, we got to get the ball moving. We got to not turn it over.
Yes.
We got to get back to offense. And what did we get last night? We didn't get any of that. We didn't get any ball movement. We got a bunch of sets for Devin Booker. We got some turnovers. And at the end of the day, you just didn't execute. And that, to me, is amazing.
Yeah, Mitch says, what about the phantom foul at the end of the game where they had Chris Middleton trapped? And to me, that's an even more important situation.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns make the basket. The Bucks inbound the ball to Chris Middleton. And clearly, the Suns' plan at that moment was, we're going to leave Giannis open, and we are going to trap Chris Middleton. They do that. Giannis is the only guy open. Middleton's about to pass him the ball, and the official blows the whistle when Devin Booker and Chris Paul haven't even laid a hand on Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there are so many moments in this game, here nor there. Gabe Ledley also says, hey, fellas, missed the show yesterday. Caught up on the doggy DNA conversation. Did you know GCU, Grand Canyon University, in Phoenix, GCU students with service and emotional support dogs have to submit DNA swabs to make sure that if they leave their poop on the ground that they are caught doing so. So if you have an emotional support dog at GCU, we talked about on the show yesterday that, I can't remember what country it is.
Tel Aviv.
Israel. Yeah, Israel. Is now requiring DNA testing for your dog so that if you do not pick up your dog poop, they can criminally charge you. And I got to say, I agree with it. And the testing service is the name of the testing service at GCU? Poo Prince. Love it. Love it. Red Art Norvis says, next year we got clutch guys, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Jamal Murray, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, and like it or not, PG-13 shows he can be clutch at times. West is tough. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think one of the guys that saved his legacy this postseason, Paul George.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Driftwood, good morning to you, says, Booker is a nice player. I would love it if he were in a Jazz jersey. I think everybody would love it if Devin Booker were a Jazz man. Cody Strickland says, I'm so late. Sorry, boys. Do you think you guys can start over? All right. Hey, it is July 15th, and Cody Strickland needs to get a watch. Red Hart Norvis says, for some reason, Devin Booker's performance reminds me of Jamal Murray, but on a mid-range, and Chris Paul reminded me of the Knicks' Carmelo Anthony. I mean, that's how Carmelo played in the peak of his career. That's not how he's playing now. By the way, the Jazz are said to be interested in Carmelo Anthony. That's not how he played now. Certainly, Chris Paul, I just can't. It's shocking how many turnovers Chris Paul had.
I just don't know mentally where he's gone. They showed the highlight. So, cool, we're going to play pick and roll. Okay, I get it. That's his game. That's his bread and butter. All right, I understand. But you can't play pick and roll when you're almost in the corner at that point. The pick is set on the wing. He's going to his left, and he slips trying to go back to his right. That's why you don't play pick and roll on the wing. You got to play it in space. And it's just frustrating, dude. It's frustrating that the Suns are not doing what we would expect them to do. I mean, the Suns really, frankly, should be up 3-1 right now, going back home. I mean, that's just the real tough part about it. And the fact is, for them, you don't have to win on the road to win the series. That's absolutely true. But at the end of the day, I don't like the prospect of a Game 7. I don't. I've never have. I'm not a big fan of that. So we'll see. We'll see what adjustments they make.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Is it adjustments or is it just not being an idiot?
There's certainly the not being the idiot factor. There's no doubt about that.
I think that's the thing that I struggle with so much is that my frustration is that Chris Paul should be better than this. We should expect Chris Paul to perform at a much higher level than this. And my question is he capable? I don't know. He was grabbing at his left hamstring at times last night. This right hand injury and this left hand injury, and water's wet and Chris Paul's hurt in the playoffs. True. Bottom line, he's got the ball in his hands with the game on the line, and he doesn't come through last night. Does that change coming home to Phoenix? We'll see. I don't know. Does it change what Giannis is doing on the road in Phoenix? I don't know. But I think we all as NBA fans, I mean, we should expect Chris Paul not to fall down at the free throw line with the game on the line. And he didn't deliver on that. I just don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe here. I think my instinct tells me the Suns are going to go home, and they're going to win the next 2 out of the next 3. You know, I'm pretty certain of that. Yeah. And my guess is this is now a 7-game series. Although, depending on how the Suns do in Game 5, they may win it in 6. I can't see the Bucks going to Phoenix and winning.
It would be surprising. It'd be really surprising. And I think that, I just, how many times are we going to get late game possessions where Devin Booker doesn't get the ball? Like that to me is and I'll continue to say this. I still think that Devin Booker has, for whatever reason, and it's to no fault of his own, but it just seems like he still has, climbing to do in terms of respect with Chris Paul. Devin Booker on this team should have the same respect that Durant gets with the Nets or LeBron gets or any of these other major names get on their team.
But this is why James Harden didn't want to play with Chris Paul anymore. Yeah. Because Chris Paul believes that he should have the ball in his hands with the game on the line. I got news for you, old man. Devin Booker's your premier player. Devin Booker, and I think the guys on the broadcast last night were talking about it. Devin Booker's the best player on the floor last night.
Yeah.
And he doesn't touch the ball their last 2 possessions.
How?
I don't know.
And that's why I say, I don't really put this kind of a loss on like bad coaching or not making adjustments or like at the end of the day, a lot of times these postseason games, especially in the finals when there's so much on the line, a lot of times these games come down to, possession by possession, under 5 minutes to go, making good decisions. And that's why I say from the get, that whole situation was just jacked. I mean, I don't know why that set was and I don't know if Monty called that or Chris called that or however that works for them.
No, that's Chris Paul calling that.
Why would you try to play pick and roll on the wing? Why, dude? I was just shocked.
That's not what you've done the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, you have stood at the circle. You walk over half court right at the circle. You call for the screen, and you run pick and roll.
Yeah.
Why then would you bring it down? Why intentionally? My guess is because Chris Paul was trying to get a mid-range jumper. That's what I think he was trying to do. Because he dribbled to the left, came down the wing, cut into the paint, and he simply fell down. And I think if he doesn't fall down there, he wanted to rise up and shoot a mid-range from the elbow, the right elbow, which is where he usually shoots that from. That makes no sense because you need a 3 there.
Yeah.
Devin Booker's open. He's been hot all night. And you just simply, I don't know what it is.
Bad decisions.
Casey Finlayson says, who did the Jazz select before Booker? Trey Lyles. Who'd they turn Trey Lyles into? Donovan Mitchell. Cody Strickland says, nothing matters anymore. I just learned that we're all in a Matrix-like system and that it's not reality. Okay.
Oh, shit. Damn, I am tripping.
I think peyote's illegal. You should probably look that up before you smoke it. I'm not hearing a lot of credit for the Bucks, guys, James Knight says.
What credit do you want to give them?
I think we've talked about Chris Middleton. I think we've talked about Giannis's block and his defense. I just don't happen to believe that the Bucks are the reason that the Bucks won the game.
I mean, they got handed 17 extra possessions.
34 more opportunities because the Suns turned the ball over 17 times and gave up 17 offensive rebounds. I mean, look, the Bucks are a good team.
The Suns are a better team.
The Suns are a better team.
The stats say that. The record says that. The way they play the game says that. Unless they decide to turn it over 17 times and give the game away. I mean, that's just what it is.
Casey Finlayson says, at least a week from tomorrow, we'll get to see how the Suns respond in Game 5. Seriously, why are we 2-3 day breaks here? I don't understand these multi-day breaks.
Again, and I'm not trying to be tinfoil on the windows guy. You talk about the schedule, you talk about the way the games are officiated, and it all adds up to the NBA's trying to extend this series as long as possible.
Training camp in the NFL opens in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now.
We're still going to be playing games.
This is craziness. And I get it. COVID and extending the season, free agency starts August 3rd.
And listen, I love that we're not going to get the downtime this year in the sporting calendar. There have been so many years where it's like, all right, finals are over in June. Now we got 2 months to do absolutely nothing but watch baseball. Okay, I'm fine with that because I love baseball. But I know, we were talking the other day, a lot of people think baseball is boring. So, I guess the win is, yeah, all right, cool. We're not going to get downtime this year. We're going to go right from the finals, the training camp, into the season, and everything's going to be great.
Yeah. Good morning. Giggity says, late to the show, but did you guys talk about how the refs failed to kill the action with Cam hurt on the court? What are your thoughts? Well,
he wasn't hurt.
I think the officials don't have by rule the obligation to stop that play. If Cam Johnson isn't laying on the floor bitching about the call, I think if he had just grabbed his ankle before that, they probably stopped the game. But he complained about the call, then all of a sudden came up injured. I'm so the officials are frustrating. They shouldn't have stopped that play. He wasn't hurt. The Suns have laid on the floor at times in this series. Chris Paul's flopping. Jay Crowder flopping last night does not help the Suns.
No,
it doesn't.
Nope.
So now you got a young guy in Cam Johnson faking an injury.
Which clearly he did.
They're not going to stop the game. I think the officials were embarrassing last night. That was not one of those moments they should have stopped the game. Red Heart Norvis says, we don't need Melo in the Jazz. We don't need another Jordan Clarkson that is past his prime and can't defend. We need a point guard, or I'd rather have an athletic wing defender that has some mid-range. It's interesting we talk about this because whose birthday is today? Damian Lillard's 31 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, he's not worth what they're asking for. And I'd much rather, if you're the Jazz, go get C.J. McCollum. If that's what your pursuit is, CJ's almost the perfect fit in your offense. But I just think that I look at that Blazer team. I think Damon and Carmelo, and I hate to say it, I think Dame and Carmelo wind up with the Lakers. If Dame leaves Portland, it's going to be either the Lakers or he's not going to leave Portland. And I think that's smart business by him.
Yeah.
I think you're paying Carmelo Anthony $1.8 million, and now he's a free agent, and the Lakers want him. He's worth $1.8 million to the Lakers.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. And I think Carm wants to play with the Lakers. I think Dame wants to play with the Lakers. I think the Lakers have assets to go and get him. And if you are the NBA and you are the Utah Jazz, be thankful that Dame's not coming to the Jazz. Because I'm telling you, right now, that's not what's best for Donovan Mitchell. And that should be your only priority. What's best for Donovan Mitchell? Getting a guy that can dominate in the mid-range, getting a guy that can defend on the wing, that's not Bojan Bogdanovic, cement shoes.
Yeah.
Cool red shoes if they weren't made of cement, bogey. The idea, and it's becoming more and more clear as time goes on, that this roster is going to come back largely intact.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, it's not the end of the world, but that's not going to put you further ahead next year.
Bojan.
I think Dennis Lindsey has done so much damage to this organization's ability to compete for a championship. It's going to be years before you're going to be able to do that. And it's largely because I think they are going to re-sign Mike Conley. And I think they're going to pay him $20 million. And I think they're going to give him a 2-year deal. That's the number that I've heard floating around, that Mike's going to get $20 million from the Jazz for 2 years. That would be a huge mistake.
Yeah. Yep.
Huge. But fundamentally, that would be a huge mistake.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Michael Burton says Booker should have been off the court. He fouled out over 7 fouls, but the refs either turned a blind eye or chose to swallow the whistle. It's ridiculous. I would say there's probably 8 fouls you could have called at least on Booker. And again, the comparison is Giannis. They didn't call anything on Giannis last night.
Yeah, that's what I say. Whether you want to talk about Book or Giannis or any of these guys, the fact is they weren't blowing the whistle. They just weren't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where, yeah. Anyway, point is, it's Damian Lillard's birthday. He's 31. I would not be in a hurry to acquire him. And I know that probably pisses off Jazz fans. The Phoenix Suns should go and acquire Damian Lillard. The LA Lakers, the LA Clippers. By the way, did anybody notice that Kawhi had ACL surgery? There's some up in the air there. And if I'm Kawhi Leonard, I opt out of my deal. And if I'm the LA Clippers, I try to trade for Damian Lillard as soon as that happens. To me, I think that Damian Lillard has a ton of value in this league. He's an MVP candidate. Just not to the Utah Jazz. Not to a team that isn't championship ready.
And doesn't have the money or the flexibility.
I think Damian Lillard needs to be on a roster that's capable of winning a championship. That's the Lakers, the Clippers, certainly the Phoenix Suns. I look out east. I don't think Dame wants to play on the East Coast.
Nah, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It really doesn't.
That doesn't add up for him, I don't think.
I think the Jazz are in the Jazz, and I know this sounds contrarian, but it's not. The Jazz are in a position to win 3 championships in the next 10 years. But that changes when you sign Mike Conley to a 2-year, $40 million deal. That changes if you go and trade for a guy like Damian Lillard. That changes if you don't immediately adjust your course and tack to financial responsibility this upcoming season. Because a year from now, if you're just slightly intelligent this offseason, you're going to have tremendous cap flexibility.
Yes.
You re-sign Mike Conley to a 2-year, $40 million deal? Well, okay.
Go ahead and put that off for a couple years.
Same old Jazz. And I will go this far. If you re-sign Mike Conley to a 2-year, $40 million deal, why did you fire Dennis Lindsey?
Don't know.
Because that's the same old, same old. And doing the same old thing is going to get you the same old result, which is disappointment in the postseason. And I'm telling you, Mike Conley's a great guy, phenomenal professional. Let him walk. Let him walk. Grab your balls, hold them closely to your thighs, and let Mike Conley walk. And let Jazz fans bitch and moan, and I'm not buying season tickets. Okay, cool, man.
If you felt these balls,
then don't ever come back and buy season tickets. Because when we win 3 championships in the next 10 years, I don't want to see you in the arena.
Bandwagon-ass fans, dude.
You know, there are some tough decisions. Portland's got a tough decision with Damian Lillard. Trade him as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Because the minute you trade Damian Lillard and you don't bring, you don't bring Nurk back, non-guaranteed deal for Nurkic, you don't bring Carmelo back, you have all kinds of financial flexibility and the ability to immediately pivot into a championship contending team in Portland.
Yeah, what was the point of going through the Chauncey Billups experience if you're going to just keep the team the same?
I mean, this is not difficult. This is Chris Paul to the Suns.
Yeah.
You know, that's the chance that several teams in the Western Conference, including the Utah Jazz, have. But how many of them have the cojones to make the tough decisions to put yourself in that position?
All I have in this world is my balls and my word.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think Ryan Smith has a lot of proving to do. This TV deal that pissed off so many fans, Ryan Smith has a lot of proving to do. Mm-hmm. This Mike Conley contract.
Let's go ahead and piss off fans some more.
You know, he was handed, and I'm not even, listen, there in a lot of ways, Ryan Smith was handed a bag of flaming crap. He opened his front door and stepped right on that bag of crap, and it's called the luxury tax. And now you got to make pragmatic decisions. And I think firing Dennis Lindsey, the beloved figure. What are you talking about? Firing Dennis Lindsey is a great first step. Now keep expanding your cojones.
Cojones.
Don't do what the fans want. Do what's going to win you a championship. Because with all due respect, fans rarely know what to do to win a championship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A couple more. Driftwood says, okay, I relent. I'm sorry for my Marvel joke. Where is the Marvel joke coming from?
I think we briefly talked about that yesterday, and I think he was just holding that back from yesterday to bring it in. I'm not. It doesn't bother me or anything. It was the timing probably wasn't ideal.
Red Heart Norvis says if the Jazz roster is intact next season, they will still be good elite team, a good elite team, especially in the season. But they are not championship material, and Jazz fans will be in another heartbreak.
Yep.
All that matters is the postseason. That's it. You need, and I'm not trying to again say that I told you so, but again, you need a mid-range killer. That's what wins you games. Whether that's Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Middleton, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. Devin Booker scored 42 points without making a 3 last night. And he only shot 9 free throws. He did that in the mid-range. Chris Middleton did that in the mid-range. You know, you look at the way this league is going, and this is why I say, my criticism of Quinn Snyder is, shoot 6,741 threes a game. Go for it, kid. Well, I'm going to be over here winning a championship while you're shooting all those threes. Okay? Cool. Neat.
Excellent strategy, sir.
Right? I'm buying elite mid-range players. I'm buying a power forward who can score in the paint. I'm not buying a center. I'm not buying a 7-footer unless his name's Kevin Durant. I'm not buying Giannis. I'm not buying Ben Simmons. I'm not buying Rudy Gobert. I'm not buying Ivica Zubac. I'm buying Paul George. I'm buying Devin Booker. I'm buying Damian Lillard. I'm buying these championship mentality players that are elite mid-range shooters.
Yes.
That's all I care about. I'm buying C.J. McCallum. Can you imagine the Jazz with C.J. McCallum and Donovan Mitchell?
Now you're talking.
Now I have something I can work on. Look at what the Suns are doing. And the Bucks know it's coming and can't stop it. They're putting Devin Booker in the corner. They're running him over a stagger screen, giving him the ball. He's dribbling to the free throw line and shooting a J. And he's working a hezzy into that, and then instead of shooting a J, he's going with his right hand. Oh, wait, he's going with his left hand. Oh, wait, he's going with his right hand. Like, that's an elite mid-range player.
Yeah.
He's 24 years old. He's an elite mid-range. Why do you think everybody thinks he's going to go to the Lakers? And I'm telling you, Chris Paul is hurting Devin Booker. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that now. I never thought I would side with James Harden because I think the guy's a cock, but I'm siding with James Harden. I'm siding with James Harden. I would not want to play with Chris Paul either. I wouldn't. He's a cool story, but he's a ball hog, and he absolutely squelches Devin Booker's ability to be elite.
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Is what it is. Is what it is. Tanner Plummer says Lindsey was more beloved than Stockton or Malone. Yeah, seriously.
Stop.
Seriously. Chaotic Postman says, what's the best for DM is to get him out of Utah? No, it's not. It's not. And this has been something, Postman, this has been something we've talked about at length on this show.
Yeah.
I think this is your first time in, so welcome here. We appreciate you very much. While you're here, hey, by the way, smash that like button.
Do it.
Thanks.
Do it. What's the subscriber
Postman,
count? What's the subscriber count now? Where are we at? I mean, where are we at, bro?
1350.
We getting close to 1,400 now? I mean, that's where we are?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
1350 something, I think.
1372. So we're getting closer.
Man.
We're getting closer.
Smash that like button, friends. We appreciate that. It really helps the channel grow. When we get to 1,500, we're going to give this away. What's best for Donovan Mitchell is Ryan Smith, is Dwayne Wade, and is getting other stars around him.
Which is why you can't re-sign Mike Conley.
It ain't rocket science. I mean, you need that money a year from now. And you can't, and there is a comment, I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's a comment about, use Conley's money for, you can't use Conley's money for anything. You're over the tax. If you don't re-sign Mike Conley, that's not money you can spend. That's just money that you're not going to pay on the luxury tax. Take it in the bootay for a year so that a year from now you can be good. You can go and sign free agents, trade for whoever you want. You are so screwed draft asset-wise. You have none of your own picks. Like, you've traded every pick, including your mom. Like, you've traded all your draft picks. You've traded all the players that had value to you. Like Grayson Allen. Man, if Grayson Allen was on this team right now,
he'd be a great role player for this team.
By the way, not for nothing. Anybody see Jay Crowder these days? Anybody know where Jay Crowder is? Oh, that's right. He's in the NBA Finals. And the Suns recruited him hard. Jay Crowder, they told that story last night again. Jay Crowder wanted to go back to Miami. The Suns were like, hey, man. Chris Paul was like, dude, we need you. Goes to the Suns, and guess what? Played the finals last year. He's playing the finals this year.
Yep.
Tell me that Jay Crowder's value wouldn't be massive to the Jazz.
Yeah, it would be.
You'd be a different team.
Yeah, you'd actually have toughness on your team.
You wouldn't be playing Derek Favors. You would be playing Jay Crowder. Right? And that's another guy. Like, think about the difficulty that you're going to have telling Derek Favors he no longer has a spot on your club.
It's business. It's business.
It's business. You're going to be emotional. You're going to thank him. At some point, you're going to put him in, the Jazz Ring of Honor. I don't know if you retire the 15. I don't think you probably do. But you really honor Derek Favors, and you thank him for what he's done, and then you kick his ass to the curb and move on.
And that's what all the great organizations do. I mean, whether you're looking at the Patriots, the Lakers, anybody. Yeah. I mean, any team that wins a lot of championships, who play at the highest level in their sports. I mean, you're not loyal to people. You are loyal to the numbers that they're able to provide you, because at the end of the day, this thing is all about numbers. Last night, the number last night was 17 turnovers, and that led to a bunch of different things that the Suns didn't want to happen, So, if you're the Jazz, you're sitting here looking at this cap and you're saying, "Hey, we're gonna like, if it was me, yeah, I'd make a cheap offer of Mike Conley. I'd make an offer at the number that's comfortable for me that I could, be fine with." Knowing that he's probably not going to take it because he's got a bunch of people on the open market after him. And if he walks, he walks. Like, I don't think that should be some like some horrible thing.
You have to know your value.
Yeah.
You have to know your value. And I will continue to say that when teams lie to themselves, it's funny, I texted you this last night. When teams lie to themselves, bad things happen.
Yes, you have to be honest about, honest about everything really, but in these situations particularly, you have to be honest about, where you are with the cap, how much money you actually have to play with, which for the Jazz, we did a whole show on it. You can go and find it. We're not going to get into specifics, but they just don't have a lot of money to work with right now. And the problem is that they have championship aspirations. So do you have the ability, again, it's going to come down to this very simply. Do you have the ability to say, okay, we understand that right now we don't have a lot of money, but we also understand we're a year away from having a lot of money and having a lot of flexibility based on the contracts that we're committed to right now. So let's let old-ass, broke-ass Mike Conley and his one leg walk away from this team, and let's develop Elijah Hughes, and let's get our cap right, and then next offseason, after we've maybe made the postseason and done some nice things.
Elijah Hughes.
Yeah, develop your guys.
Know that name. I'm telling you.
Develop your guys.
All right. Again, give us a like, please. Smash that like button. Subscribe. We're going to give away this Xbox Series S. But listen, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. Reading is fundamental.
Are you sure?
Listening is more fundamental. A lot of people have subscribed to this show.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you. And I love you. And I am thankful for that. But you have to put a picture that you're subscribed, and you have to tag us both on either Twitter or Instagram. If you subscribe and you send me a note saying I'm broke and my kid needs a birthday present, please let me win the Xbox. Hey, man, I would love to, but
That's out of the window.
you haven't put a picture of you being subscribed.
Doesn't cost you anything, right?
I've gotten so many DMs of, oh my God, I'm broke. I need an Xbox for my kid. Okay, I appreciate that. But if you're not willing to listen to the video or listen to me today say, post a photo of your subscription, tag SLC Supercars for this moron, and The Monty Show for the good-looking one. On either Twitter or Instagram, our names are both the same on both platforms. You're not entered to win until you post that and tag us. It's that simple. I just want to make that clear. We've given away TVs, PS4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. We've given away all kinds of stuff to people who put a photo that they're subscribed and tagged us on Twitter or Instagram. Robbie Haskell got a 48, 50-inch TV and a year of Disney Plus because he tagged us in a photo.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that difficult, friends. Know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Okay.
All right, a couple of things before I complain about the dentist in my HOA.
Okay.
This racial abuse N-bomb thing in England is disturbing. And I don't know how many people are following this. There have been 4 arrests overnight in England of people who racially abused black members of the England soccer team who lost the Euro 2020 (2021) championship in a penalty shootout when they missed 3 straight penalties to end the game. People got on social media and just went at them with N-words and just horrendous words of racial abuse. Authorities in England found them and arrested them and are charging them for using racially abusive language. And it just dawns on me, I'm like, well, why don't we do that?
I don't know. Because we're America and we have our rights.
America. Should that be a crime to racially abuse people on social media?
I think it should be a crime to racially abuse anybody anywhere.
Because to be fair, in England, if you go at somebody with an M-bomb, that's a crime.
In person, you're saying?
Yeah, anyway, that's a crime. I think it should be a crime here. I mean, there's just no...
I just don't know why why it wouldn't be. I mean, it's just there's no justification for it. You're saying horrible things. Like, in what world is it ever okay to drop an N-bomb, or call somebody that? Like, in what world is it ever okay to use any of the racial terms that we all know exist? It's just not okay.
Yeah, and furthermore, I think we have this idea of freedom of speech, and I totally get that. I think in this country you should be able to freely speak your mind. But that doesn't mean that you should be able to racially abuse people or abuse people based on their race, creed, color, or sexual preferences. Like, I don't think you should be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that when you do that, and we've seen the bullying on social media that leads to suicides, we have seen that, the LGBTQ community suffers from abuse on a daily basis. Asian Americans suffering from physical violence. To me, these things should be stopped. We should have the ability to walk down the street without being punched in the face because we're Asians.
Yeah.
You should be able to be, a black American and be proudly black, proudly Hispanic, proudly white.
Without fear of being beat
without
up or
fear of reprisal.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that we've seen that's gone away in this country. So I actually will watch with intent with these 4 people that were arrested for racially abusing these soccer players on Twitter and social. I'll watch that closely. I'll also watch Aaron Rodgers and DeShaun Watson. So curiously, DeShaun Watson has still not been to court or been charged with a crime with these masseuses.
Yeah.
And it is still only a civil matter. And people are wondering what's going to happen with DeShaun Watson. And still, Aaron Rodgers has not reported and has not said what he's going to do with the Green Bay Packers. And yet, it would appear that there has not been an offer made to either club, the Packers or the Texans, that would entice them to move their star quarterbacks. And when you have situations where Aaron Rodgers is the next Brett Favre, except he hasn't de-picked his thumb out yet, and
Twitter's been going crazy.
And you know that you're going to have to move him at some point. And DeShaun Watson is probably as available as he'll ever be. How have the Chicago Bears? Well, they drafted Justin Fields. Okay, take him off the list. How have the Denver Broncos not called both of those guys?
Mm-hmm.
How have teams like the Philadelphia Eagles? How have teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints, championship level teams that need now or will soon need a quarterback, how have they not gone out and tried to acquire that guy?
If it's me you want to talk to, perhaps we can arrange a meet.
Now, I know it sounds crazy for the New Orleans Saints to do that because, well, they have the Taysom-mater.
Right. Taters.
But can you imagine them with Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I mean, you've essentially just backstopped the Drew Brees effect.
Can you imagine the Tampa Bay Bucks with Deshaun Watson? Oh, he's suspended for the year? That's fine because we still have Tom Brady. Now, Aaron Rodgers fits in a much smaller circle. I think Aaron Rodgers is Raiders or Broncos, and that's probably it.
Uh-huh.
But if you're the Denver Broncos and horseface John Elway, who has the largest teeth in the world, how have you not made that trade yet? How have you not traded for Deshaun Watson? How have you not traded for Aaron Rodgers?
How have you gone without a franchise-level starting quarterback for how many years now?
5-6 years? Since Smokin' Jay Cutler? Like, how
Smokin' Jay Cutler.
You wound up handing the franchise to Peyton Manning for a couple of years, and you've never recovered since he left.
Yeah.
You won a Super Bowl, and then he left. And you've never been Horseface has never been able to replace him. What? That's the
Horseface.
Yeah, that's the Latin pronunciation of John Elway. How do you say John Elway in Latin? I believe it's horseface.
Okay.
Why does he cackle every time you hold up an apple in front of him? I don't know. Like he salivates from his teeth. Anyway, the point is, listen, Linda. If you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you're not trying to trade for Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers? I mean, there's 101 teams.
Yes.
I mean, think of the teams that don't need quarterbacks. It's harder to think of those teams. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, is Deshaun Watson an upgrade over Kirk Cousins?
Yes. Yes.
He is. If you are just pick your poison.
So out west, I mean, Cardinals don't need a quarterback. The Rams don't need a quarterback. Seahawks don't need a quarterback. 49ers?
49ers don't have a quarterback. I mean, they're unsettled.
right? So, I mean, they could potentially be a suitor.
How are you not all in on Aaron Rodgers?
What do you think about Miami?
Miami's frustrating because I think they're going to stick with Tua Tagovailoa, my hip hurts. I think that's just what they're going to do. And then they're going to fail. And then they'll go and get a guy, and probably DeShaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers won't be available. But then again, when you're a franchise that sucked for how many years?
Yeah.
You suck because, well, you suck at footballing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not likely to go out and have the cojones to let Mike Conley walk away and you get Deshaun Watson to play point guard.
Right.
Like you're not likely to do. If you're the Miami Dolphins, okay, well, hey, Tua, yeah, it looks like your hip hurts. We're going to let Deshaun take some snaps.
Yeah.
Right? I don't get that. Like, again, the Houston Texans. How do you screw up Deshaun Watson?
The Eagles.
How do you screw up like that? I mean, there's so many teams that have screwed up their quarterback. Like Jalen Hurts. By the way, Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
How are you screwing up Jalen Hurts right now? Indianapolis. Good point. Andrew Luck retired. What did they do? They went and got Carson Wentz, who I think is actually going to have a really good year. Right? The Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the balls in Pittsburgh to say, you know what? Deshaun Watson's available. Aaron Rodgers is available. We're the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, fat-ass Ben Roethlisberger, who doesn't work hard.
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, remember that incident in the Georgia bar? You now have time to go and apologize to her. We're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, who's probably going to dump his movie star girlfriend, and his family hates him, so let's bring him in.
Okay. What about the Jets? Just drafted a guy.
Nope.
You're going with him.
Done. And I will just say why the New York Jets have not had a quarterback for a decade. Well, because you're the New York Jets. And your first name's Woody Johnson. Your name's Woody. You got no balls. You're all... No, anyway, stop. Like I look at the Giants. They're probably not in a position to get a quarterback, but this should be a make or break year for Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. This should be a make or break year for Dak Prescott.
Well, he's already he's signed, right?
He's paid. Yeah, he's paid. I would, but has he proven anything?
He's proven he's a 5,000-yard passer. Yeah, I think he's proven he's legit. I think it's a matter of what's around him.
Yeah, and what did they do? They overpaid a guy because they didn't want to let Ezekiel Elliott walk away. Dak got hurt. How'd Zeke do?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't pay running backs in this league. You pay quarterbacks and wide receivers.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's what you do. So, I mean, you can look up and down the standings. I mean, I think, why did the Kansas City Chiefs draft Patty Mahomes?
Yep.
Because the Bears didn't. Now they don't need a quarterback for probably the next 10 years.
Funny how that works.
I mean, I look at the South. What about Carolina?
Yeah, you've got what's his face?
Sam Darnold.
Yes,
and
Sam.
By the way, should Reggie Bush get his Heisman back?
Yes.
We got to talk about this at some point because you're an idiot. Anyway, the point is, listen. The best teams in the NFL all have quarterbacks. The Chicago Bears don't.
That's why they're not the best team.
What was the other thing I wanted to bring up today? Doesn't matter. Let's talk non-sports. Do you buy this Russian story about Donald Trump? Wait, is Driftwood still here?
Yeah,
he is still here.
Where's homie?
Okay, cool. Let's rip Donald Trump. No, I'm kidding. Driftwood, take it easy. Don't crash the vehicle. Take it easy. All right, so there is a story that's being leaked that good old number 45 there.
Donnie.
DJT.
Donnie.
Captain Orange Face.
Donnie.
That Donald Trump, the Russians have significant leverage on Donald Trump. Now, we've heard this for many years, whether it was that ridiculous Steele dossier or we've always heard that Donald Trump was under Vladimir Putin's thumb.
Right.
I think we saw a lot of that while he was in office. I mean, there was no ever hostility between Trump and Vladdy. He put bounties out with the Afghanis on Americans. Nothing happened. Didn't even bring it up to him. The Russian hacking stuff that exploded during Donald Trump's presidency, never even brought it up to him. There's a laundry list. And everybody wondered why. Well, why did the Russians hack the DNC and release all that damaging email information? Why Why did the Russians spend so much money to create 17 million fake Facebook profiles to support Donald Trump? Why? Well, I know why. Thanks to leaked information. I know why. Thanks to new leaked information that's been coming out over the last couple of days, we now know that the Russians wanted Donald Trump in the White House because they felt he was mentally unstable and a narcissist who was incapable of making good decisions. Well, turns out they nailed it.
Wow.
Because Donald Trump is mentally unstable and a narcissist who's not capable of making good decisions. And we now find out that there is real evidence for the first time that when he went to Moscow on several visits for the Miss Universe pageant, which at the time Donald Trump owned, that he was involved with Russian hookers. And that allegedly those Russian hookers worked for Vladimir Putin, Big Daddy Vladdy.
Just so you can go to Pound Town.
And Donald Trump was compromised by these Russian hookers. And there's all kinds of like tax shelter ideas, and that the Russians, you know, one of the things the Russians have done, and I think we've heard this probably for the last 3 years, and it's really because of Donald Trump's ownership of golf courses in the UK and Ireland, where you have to release, if you want to own golf courses, you have to release financial and ownership documents. The golf courses that Donald Trump owns are not owned by Donald Trump, according to the financial statements in his ownership records. And now we know that, you know, in all likelihood, Russian oligarchs are the ones who, when Donald Trump mysteriously sold all of those homes, what was that, 7 years ago, and like the homes he had paid, and I don't remember the numbers, but he had paid $1 million. They were worth $700,000.
Yeah.
He sold them for $5 million each. And people were like, how'd that happen, man? And all of a sudden, now it's becoming clear that Donald Trump had this pass-through relationship with Russian assets because he was a Russian asset. So other oligarchs were able to buy property from him to hide shelter, to shelter money, that he was essentially allegedly, and the rumors say he was allegedly a pass-through, that he has something, and I don't know if it's Russian hookers or whatever it is, but that Vladimir Putin has real leverage. And all of this to say that the media in Europe now has their hands on documents that are actually signed by Vladimir Putin, which is both good and, okay, that show that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. And this is the first time we've seen that.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that, and what most people believe the reason that we're seeing that now is because Donald Trump is compromised criminally. Mm-hmm. Because now we know that there's a huge tax problem in the Trump organization. They've essentially fired his former CFO, who had been one of Donald Trump's closest allies for decades.
So the Russians can see it burning down, and they're kind of going into
throw gasoline on the fire mode, right? Like, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
I don't think they care that Donald Trump is compromised now.
Yeah.
I think they know, and there's a lot of people who believe that they know that they were successful because I'm probably selling the lead short here. Their whole goal was to create instability and conflict within the American population. So what do we have now? We have instability and conflict that we've never had before. They're hacking like at levels we've never had before, because once you open that door to allowing the Russians to hack, it's almost impossible to close it. And you're seeing that the Russians have won, essentially. And that's the scary part about this, is that if you believe all this information, and I think if you're smart, you probably believe 40% of what 100% you're reading. But there's no way that this is all just a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
There's some truth. We don't know what exactly that truth is.
You don't have this much, this much stuff out there and not have at least some truth to it.
It's the smoke fire thing. There's not this much smoke if there's no fire.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's consistently been smoking.
Yeah.
Like this heap of Russian garbage has been consistently smoking for years now. And this is why a lot of people think, well, They don't want to release his tax returns. Donald Trump doesn't want to release his tax returns. By the way, there's another awesome theory that's floating out there that now the federal government has Donald Trump's tax returns. The state of New York has Donald Trump's tax returns. Why haven't we seen that? Well, because I think there's probably serious evidence in those tax returns that show he's a Russian asset. That show, and the way that it would show that, by the way, is, well, what does he actually own? What is he actually worth? How did he actually pay for that golf course? How did he actually pay for Mar-a-Lago? How did he actually pay his daughter? How did he actually do X, Y, and Z when he's actually broke? Because Donald Trump is very cash poor. We know that. Like, he is leveraged to the hilt. There is no way that the house of cards doesn't fall down on Donald Trump and his companies, right? So the question is, when do we find out about that? But the federal government would have no win in A, saying a president of the United States was leveraged by the Russians.
Yeah, that would be an embarrassment.
And B, that a guy who probably is going to run for president in 2024 is compromised by the Russians. So my guess is they will get him on criminal charges and we will never see his tax returns.
Yeah.
I think we will never, ever see his tax returns.
Yeah.
You know, like it's amazing to me. You know, and okay, now I haven't been looking at the comments intentionally. Let's read what Driftwood has had to say.
Okay.
Driftwood says, is the 45 already retired? Is this where America is headed, getting arrested for speaking? If you let them take one right, they will take two, and before you know it, we will have no rights. Oh, so this is the
Joe
England
Biden racist.
Yeah, and Joe Biden sent people out to stab people with needles.
Mm-hmm.
That never happened. We cannot let America become communist China. Just keep them all away from my titans. Okay. Driftwood also says Trump is the greatest president we've ever had. Any Russian talk is just misinformation designed to discredit him.
Sure thing, bud.
So this Russian talk that's been going on for now 8 years, that's just designed to discredit Donald Trump. Well, 8 years ago, he wasn't even running for president. See what I'm saying? Like, oh, the Alan Weisselberg and the Donald Trump companies that are now all in state court in New York for tax evasion and paying Ivanka Trump as a consultant, that's just all meant to discredit Donald Trump. That's what this is. The Stormy Daniels hooker payoffs were meant to discredit Donald Trump. You know, just grab her by the pee. That was somebody planted that?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Come on, Driftwood. He says, let the slurping begin. Ha ha, Giggity. Because Giggity said, interesting, Russian knows the same thing that most Americans know when it comes to Donnie. Driftwood flipping through Fox News talking points, finding a defense for this news. Eric C. says, fucking Driftwood, LOL.
I'm not a big fan of Fox.
Oh, that's amazing. Tanner Plummer says, hey, Driftwood, why don't you just admit it? Melania's mistake was a terrible president, and he should be in jail right now.
Oh, man.
Justin Salas says, morning, guys. Feels like half the show these days is political. Well, not half, probably a quarter. Oh, by the way, we got to talk about my mouth in the HOA. That came out wrong.
I could have done more with that, but I chose not to.
So I went to the dentist yesterday before I got into a battle with my HOA that caused a fight with my wife.
Okay, good. Yesterday was great.
Yesterday was a good day.
Yeah,
not really. This morning's not fun because my teeth are killing me.
Yeah.
I went to the dentist yesterday to get a cleaning and to have my teeth whitened.
This is a code 10 abort.
And to have an orthodontic consultation. Got my teeth cleaned, and this lady absolutely stuck every pointed part that she had in her hands under my gums.
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
My God. Only to come out and tell me, hey, your gums are in great shape. Good job. Like, I mean, this lady, like, you know those terrible, like, poker things that go into your gums at the dentist? And the worst part about the dentist is not the pain, it's the sound.
Yeah.
Because you can hear the pain train coming.
Yes.
And it's that scratching, like against your teeth.
Yes.
Yeah, not good. And she's reaching under my gums, And in the back, she like found some stuff, and she's like, "Hey, look, I think this is from 1947." So she pulled an Etzel out of my gums, like. But she's like, your gums are in great health. She's like, there's no bleeding or sign of gingivitis or gum reduction. We talked about, my wife bought me a water pick a couple months ago. It's been great. She's like, great, keep doing that. And that's where all the fun stopped. Because then it was like, hey, by the way, you have a cavity back here that's, a couple of millimeters under the gum. To, fill that cavity, we're probably going to have to do oral surgery.
You're so fucked.
Which requires cutting your gum in a straight line so we can get to the cavity and then raking that shit out of there and filling it up with TNT and then blowing your gums apart. Woo. That's not actually how they described it. They said they would have to cut my gum line to scrape the cavity and fill it. That sounds fun. And then, by the way, the orthodontic consultation I was supposed to have, that guy only works 2 days a week and he's booked for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I have to go back in like mid-August.
Nice.
That'll be fun. And they said, oh, you're an excellent candidate for braces or Invisalign because, it'll fill those gaps. You're good. And then they're like, okay, you ready to have your teeth white? And I'm like, all right, cool. Enough of the prodding and the poking. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this. And the lady walks in. She hands me a remote. I turn on Netflix, and it's F1 Drive to Survive.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool.
I want more.
Season 1. And then she starts, like, putting all this plastic in my mouth to hold my face open. I'm like, damn, here we go. And I like this lady. She dropped a probe almost down my throat.
Oh, damn.
Like, she was using this tool. Because what they do when they whiten your teeth, they use a really strong bleach product, and it burns your gums in any skin that it touches. Like, it will burn you. And so they put this, like, dam, like this putty dam into your teeth, into your gum line. And they pack it under, and then they take a blue light, like an infrared light, and they cure it so it stays hard so that you can go to Pound Town. Oh, wait, that's a different show. That's a different show.
Just so you can go to Pound Town.
Anyway, the point is.
Okay.
The point is, so they cure this stuff, and apparently it wasn't curing properly. So, okay, I almost choked on a probe, and she put the stuff in my mouth. She puts the bleach on there. She puts the infrared light into your mouth, and you bite down on it. It's a mouthpiece, and it whitens your teeth. Well, see, what happened was the dam didn't hold, so the bleach started pooling in the bottom of my mouth between my lip and my gum. So this morning, it's like I feel like I'm burned. You know how there's that little thing that attaches your lip to your gum?
Dude.
Like that's burned, like it's all raw inside my mouth.
Bro.
And, I didn't feel it when that was happening. But the whole time, and this is, by the way, supposed to be an hour appointment. I got there at 8:55, and it was a 1 hour appointment scheduled. So we go through this, and you get your teeth whitened with infrared light in 8-minute segments. So 8 minutes, they put the light in your mouth for 8 minutes. They come back, they put more bleach. Every time she came back, she had to pull the dam off and put a new one on because it kept falling off for whatever reason. Take everything out. Put everything back in, put the light back in, see in 8 minutes. Then there was this one stretch where she was gone for like 20 minutes. Like I watched almost an entire episode of Drive to Survive. Haas F1 should just get out of racing cars. Anyway, so she comes back, and at this point I'm floating in the chair because I have to take a leak like there ain't nobody's business. So the dentist actually walks by, and I'm like, hey. Like I waved at him, and he's like, what's wrong? Are you burning? I'm like, no, I got to take a leak. And he goes, okay, cool. So he sits me up in the chair because I'm flat on my back. Sits me up in the chair. I walk down the hall with all this stuff hanging out of my face. And I take like a 3-minute pee. Like it was a gallon.
Yeah.
I go back, lay in the chair. She comes in, pulls it out. Okay, well, takes all the...
You guys, if you want to kick it, we'll flow.
Yeah, right? She didn't pull it out. She takes everything out of my mouth, has to redo the dam. Anyway, this goes on.
Yeah.
We're done whitening my teeth. I do this rinse in my mouth. Good. I stand up. It's 10 after 1 o'clock. I've been there for 4 hours. And then, like, I get home. I tried to eat a little bit of salad that my wife made me. It was incredibly painful.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there talking on the phone to a client at the Yelpatory, and all of a sudden, like, I just get this shooting pain that goes up the side of my nose and down through my chin.
Oh, boy.
And it just went on. And so I went up to my bathroom and I took Tylenol, which they say is what you take for toothaches. Tylenol helps. And it helped a little bit. But I couldn't drink or eat last night, so I decided, because my teeth hurt, I really wanted to have leftover pork chop and salad for dinner last night. That's what I was going to make myself. My wife went to her friend's birthday party. They had a birthday party for her friend's mom, and so my wife was there, and so I was home alone, and I was watching the Suns game. And so
Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
I was like, yeah, I cannot wait to do this smack off the countertop, and then I'm going to make some really good pork chops. And I just couldn't bring myself to make the pork chop.
I started having second thoughts.
I was not going to try and chew that pork chop. So I love fresh fruit, and I bought a bowl of cantaloupe pre-chopped from Harmon's.
Yeah.
And my wife had bought a bundle of bananas. So I chopped up a bunch of bananas, put it in with the cantaloupe, and it was incredibly painful. Like just getting like the enzymes going from the fruit. Like, so I had some of that. I didn't want to not eat, so I powered through it. And just my mouth is just crazy. And I woke up this morning and just talking today.
Yeah.
It hurts like the front of my face.
See, now we were talking about this yesterday when we were talking about, braces and when to do it and when not to do it. And the tough part is that because we're in a performance-based job, having your mouth hurt's not ideal.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. It is. It's brutal. Now, I will say my teeth are much whiter, so I'm happy about that. But like I have my molars, both of my back molars hurt.
Yeah.
And they do those deep cleanings, so you're going to have a day of soreness. I'm good with that. But this raw sensation in my mouth is awful, dude. Like it is. Like I'm sitting here trying to, like I drink this Rockstar Recovery that's non-carbonated and I can't really drink it. Like it's just uncomfortable. Even drinking water, that area is so sensitive. Even drinking water is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So then we have an HOA here at Casa de Monte. And we have a ton of vegetation in front of our house and in our backyard. The HOA is responsible for everything that's on the public side of the fence.
Okay.
And our bushes must be like an 86-year-old Romanian housewife. I mean, the visual probably is.
Yeah, that probably wasn't ideal.
So they haven't waxed that bush in a long time. Like they haven't trimmed the bush on the fence line in a long time. And it's just like, I mean, it's a jungle outside of my house. And my wife about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, I guess it is, went up to the landscapers when they were here and she said, hey man, we're looking a little shaggy here. Like, are you going to trim these bushes? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. The next week they come back, they don't trim the bushes. So this week.
No, I guess not.
This week my wife sees the landscapers here, and so she goes out the garage door to talk to the landscaper. And he's trimming 2 small bushes behind our garage. And they've been trimmed the whole time.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, are you going to do the rest of these bushes? Oh, yeah. No. He didn't do the bushes. Okay. So yesterday they were here mowing. So my wife goes out there and talks to the guy and says, hey, dude, I talked to you 3 weeks ago. You said you were going to have these bushes trimmed. WTF? I don't have the equipment to trim them. Well, they'll do it. And so whatever my wife said to this guy, he apparently called his supervisor. And he told her he would. He calls his supervisor, and apparently, unbeknownst to me while berating my HOA receptionist yesterday, unbeknownst to me, they sent out a bushwhacking crew, and they ring the doorbell. So I'm on the phone. My dogs are losing their minds because we all know that they're killer 5-pound dogs that are going to eat your legs.
Right.
Anyway, they're losing their minds at the doorbell ringing. I'm talking to the guy through the ring doorbell. He's like, I'm just going to trim this one bush in front of your house. I was like, no, dude, all along the fence line. Oh, yeah, I trimmed this one bush. I'm like, no, dude, And all along the fence line, I'm yelling at this guy through my phone, through a doorbell, because I'm on the phone trying to make money to save myself the money to reinvigorate the sores in my mouth so I can be in pain and afford all kinds of terribleness. And so I said to the guy, trim all of the bushes all along the fence line. Yeah. So he actually trimmed all the bushes along the fence line.
Okay, does it look better?
I don't know. I haven't been out there, but I can see that he, I haven't gone out there yet because why would you double check anybody's work? But anyway, so I tell this story because I called the HOA because, of course, they hadn't come to wax that Romanian bush yet. And I'm calling this lady, let's call her Stephanie. I'm like, hey, is Stephanie there? And she's like, no, she's gone for the, or actually, she's like, here, hang on, let me get Stephanie for you. And she comes back and she's like, did you say Karen? I'm like, no, I said Stephanie. I need to, okay, hang on. She comes back. I've been on hold for 7 minutes. She comes back and she's like, oh, yeah, Stephanie's gone for the day.
Here's what's going to happen, Tonto.
And I'm like, it's 3:43 in the afternoon. What do you mean she's gone for the day? Okay, well, how about Stephanie's boss? Yeah, hang on. Puts me on hold again, comes back. Oh, yeah, and Dave's gone for the day. I'm like, dude, what are we paying these guys for, to leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? And so I said to her, okay, listen. She's like, I can take a message. And I said, no, we're not going to do the message thing because they never call us back. What the HOA that we live under does is they do a voicemail bomb where they'll call you, but they don't actually call you. All they do is deposit a voicemail into your voicemail box. There's a service that does that for you, by the way. And so they don't actually ring your phone. They just leave you a message. Oh, call us. We're here to help you. And you call them and they're not there. They can't talk. So you leave them a voicemail and they leave you a voicemail. And by the way,
nothing ever gets done.
Nothing ever gets done.
Yeah.
And so I finally said, I'm not leaving a voicemail. I don't want to leave a message. I said, I'm getting bad service and I'm frustrated by that. And I want to talk to somebody about it. So this receptionist is like, well, wait, I don't understand what the issue is. What are you asking me for? And so at this point, Monty got a little turned up. Uh-oh. And so my wife, of course, puts her hand on her head. And she's like, oh, God, here we go. And so at one point, she waved her hand like, relax. And so I said to the lady, and I literally said, let me speak very clearly. I'm paying you hundreds of dollars a month because my HOA is not cheap. And we get a lot for it, but I'm paying you hundreds of dollars a month, and I'm not getting the service that I believe I am owed. And I want to talk to somebody about that.
What's confusing about that?
And so she says, oh, so
Come out like that.
No, I said it with I said it with a frustrated tone. I said, hey, look, let me say this very clearly. I am paying you hundreds of dollars a month. I'm not getting the service I believe that I'm owed. I want to talk to somebody about that. She replies to me with, oh, so are you calling about the service ticket you put in?
Was she trolling you?
And I said, I don't know. And I said to her in a raised voice with some aggression. It's a nice way of putting it.
Mild aggression.
I said to her, are you serious right now? I said, I don't feel like you're listening to me.
I try to stay calm and not curse.
And I didn't curse at her, to my credit. I said, I'm upset. I'm not getting the service I believe I'm owed, and I want to complain to somebody about that. Can you put somebody on the phone?
Suckmyass.com.
She's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, then let me talk to your supervisor. I don't have a supervisor. I said, oh, so you run the place. She goes, I don't have a supervisor. I said, okay, well, then can I have your name and your ID number? No, you can't. You just know my name's Leo, L-E-O. Just like that. And that's essentially where the call ended.
Well, time to go down to the HOA office.
Like, it's frustrating as hell to have to deal with people. So when we bought our house, we bought it in December, and there was whatever snafu with the title company. They didn't get their money. The HOA didn't get their home improvement thousands of dollars thing. The transference of your rights and humanity fee. And so, do you think they just let that slide for months at a time? No. They sent us letters. They actually called us back
Funny how that works.
So wait, you're saying when we owe the HOA money, you're easy to get in touch with and you send us letters. But when the landscaper we're paying for doesn't trim our bushes, doesn't cut our grass, doesn't work on our sprinklers, we're in a drought, my man. My wife is unbelievably environmentally conscious, like recycles everything, cares about our plants, grows our own vegetables, all of this stuff. Our sprinklers probably go off, I think, 3 times a day on the weekends and twice during the week. Our grass is like 10 feet long. We have no control over the watering system in our house. And so we've called and asked, and they have not responded. We're in a drought, and you're wasting water, and there's nothing we can do about it. But when we owe you money, you're on my phone, and you're sending me letters. Like, it's just, I hate HOAs.
Yeah.
It's incredibly frustrating. Yes, Tanner Plummer, this is a first world problem. You don't want an HOA, rent an apartment. By the way, did you see the latest stats nationally? That apartment rent is now 47% of your income on average. The average American renting a 2-bedroom apartment is paying 47% of their take-home pay to pay for rent. Like, real estate's a problem in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that was my afternoon yesterday.
Good.
And then my wife and I wound up having an argument over it, and it was really stupid.
Okay.
And it's because I lost my patience with this girl. And I even sent my wife a text. I said, I'm sorry I lost my patience with that girl. I know it makes you uncomfortable. So I should have waited for my wife to leave and then lose my patience with that girl. See, the lesson I learned wasn't not to lose my patience.
See, the lesson is order an extra fry and wait for the wife to leave so you can do your thing on the phone. That's the lesson.
I mean... okay, real quick before we leave, because we're way late and I have to go to the bank. Fat Jesus says, it feels like you just ate a box of Captain Crunch. Yes, Crunchberry. Peanut butter Captain Crunch. Yes, that's what it feels like. Fat Jesus says, does Yelp insurance cover pulling it out? It doesn't. And I've looked. Rec1 says, I have news for you. Any big politician in any country of the world, except maybe for a very few insignificant ones, are corrupt. Correct. Red Heart Norvis says, I don't think Trump is the worst, but he certainly is the most polarized and controversial, no doubt. Red Heart Norvis says, cows and goats are the best yard cleaners. My wife would love it if I would buy a goat. She would love that.
Yeah.
Remember our old friend Ben Napoleon Wilson?
Yeah.
He had like a gaggle of chickens. He had like 1,000 chickens.
Uh-huh.
He was not allowed to have chickens, and they ran all over the neighborhood and crapped on people's yards.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
That's why I don't have a goat.
Okay.
Because I fear for my neighbors. Driftwood says, this is what happens when you tolerate HOA nonsense. It's basically communist China. Yeah, and to Ace's point, you cannot let the HOA have an inch.
What?
Dude, you cannot let HOA screw you at all.
Is everything communist China, Driftwood? Like everything?
Well, with Driftwood it is. That's why he doesn't own a Traeger smoker like we do. I don't know what a Traeger smoker is.
I have no idea.
By the way, tomorrow night, you heathens here in my house, I don't care what you say, I'm going to Papa Murphy's, and we're doing smoked pizza again.
Okay, great.
Is what it is. All right, make sure you hit like and subscribe. We're giving away an Xbox. Tag me on Twitter and Instagram, or Jake if you want, or Communist China. It's up to you.
Or Pootie.
Pootie would be better. I agree. That you subscribe to the show, and then maybe Pootie will listen, and then we'll educate him on American economics. Oh, wait, he already knows that. Anyway, the point is we want to give this away at 1,500. Subscribe, tag us. You're good to go. Jake, say goodbye.
Goodbye.